Wife asked me to open our marriage, so I made her regret everything. 1 year later, now she's begging me to close it back and live happily ever after with her. But I'm not interested. I married my wife 2 years after we both graduated from college. We were the typical cliché couple. She was popular amongst everyone, while I was kind of a loner with a small friend group. Still, we got together. She had taken all of my firsts. I thought our life was perfect. I would go to work and come home to a lovely meal and a happy wife. She would always ask me to buy her gifts like a purse or some jewelry, and I would happily buy it for her. I considered that to be how my wife and I express our love for each other. Our bedroom life was also great, and we both slept satisfied. But nothing could have prepared me for the day my wife revealed a horrifying secret to me. It was supposed to be a normal Monday, but I noticed that my wife was sort of ignoring me in the morning. I just thought she was sleepy and left for work. But when I returned home, she immediately told me to sit down because we needed to talk. She had gone on a work trip last week and done something horrible. My heart dropped to my stomach when she said that she had slept with another man. I asked her in a shaky voice, "Did you really cheat on me?" And she said this with a straight face, "No, I didn't cheat on you. It's different." Then she began explaining about how open relationships are really popular nowadays, and she wants to do a similar thing. I asked her why she wanted this. Was I not enough for her? And she straight up told me, no. She said she wanted the same freedom that she had in college. She assured me that she still loved me, but will leave me if I don't agree to this. Apparently, she had already slept with someone to try and push me to accept her offer because she could undo the past. The coworker that she slept with on the trip was going to be her side lover, whether I wanted it or not. At that point in time, I was still madly in love with her, so I did everything to keep her close, including agreeing to an open relationship. Obviously, I set some rules. We can't bring our other partners into the house that I bought for the two of us, and we won't tell the other about who we're sleeping with. I also deleted the coworker's information that my wife gave me. I didn't want to drown myself in anxiety. The first month was the worst. I used to constantly think about where she is and who she's sleeping with. I even begged her not to go on a trip, but she said, "I'm just doing things as we agreed," stopped crying, and left. I was still hoping that she'd realize how much love I had for her, give up this folly, and come back to me. Oh, how naive I was. At the end of the month, she was happier than she had ever been. That truly broke my heart, as my wife was sleeping with other men while I was crying myself to sleep every night. My love for her vanished. Well, enough was enough. I thought that if she's happy, why should I be sad? That night, I went to a club for the first time in years. Fortunately, the first woman that I approached responded well, and we went back to her place. Unfortunately, it felt terrible for me. I still loved my wife somewhere in my heart, so sleeping with someone that wasn't her didn't feel good at all. I even threw up after. I decided there and then that I won't force myself to do anything I didn't like. So instead, I rekindled my old hobby of gaming. It was honestly amazing. I turned our basement into a man cave and would always game for an hour or so before sleep. I made a Discord account and was making a lot of friends online. I met a wonderful woman named Cecilia online as well. She was really nice, and I was able to open up to her. I confessed my feelings about the situation my wife had put us in. She had destroyed the love we built, and I couldn't do anything about it. Cecilia didn't judge me or my wife and just comforted me while we spent time together. We even met up in real life and hooked up. I was torn between Cecilia and my wife. I still loved my wife deep inside and was hoping she would leave her lover. But I no longer felt the nausea from sleeping with other women. Eventually, Cecilia managed to get me to move on. I no longer cared about my wife's day, no longer asked her to have dinner together, and no longer asked if she's all right. A burden had just been lifted off my chest. This continued for around 7 months, and it marked the 1-year mark of our open relationship. But my wife couldn't process that and would soon take back her own words. I had noticed that she was staring at me a lot recently and also monitoring my actions for the past couple of weeks. I just thought it was because her lover had ditched her, but I was wrong once again. My wife asked us to talk when I came back from work one day. This time, however, she looked horrible compared to how she looked before. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked thinner than before. I asked her in a blunt tone, What do you want? I have things to do, so say it quickly. She flinched and started crying. She talked about how much she loved me and that her love had only grown this past year. Meanwhile, she thought that I was drifting away from her and had already left her in my mind. I simply told her, yes, you are right. I am finally happy that my life doesn't revolve around you anymore. That was apparently the wrong thing to say. She cried even harder and tried to hug me, but I moved out of the way. She said, how could I do this to her? I calmly reminded her that she was the one to start this, and I was just following in her footsteps. At that point, I was too tired to hear more of her gaslighting, so I just went downstairs and started gaming. I slept in the basement that night to give my wife some space. The next morning, I woke up to my wife cooking a lot of food for breakfast. She said it was all for me. That was weird because we were making our own food for the last year. Nevertheless, I ate it since she already made it, but asked her to not do it again. The next weekend, I was just relaxing in the living room when my wife walked in all dressed up. She said that we should go out together for an expensive dinner. I said, I'm not interested in that. You can go with someone else. She began crying again, even though I wasn't being rude at all. She asked me if I didn't love her anymore, and I just accidentally blurted out, not really. Her face went red, and I thought she was going to get angry. But she just sat down and she told me that she wanted to close our relationship, that she's the one who first proposed, that she had the right to do so. She had noticed me talking to another woman a lot and was jealous of me giving her attention. She said she wanted us to do marriage counseling and work on our relationship. She tried to explain that she was unsatisfied with her lovers, but I thought back to her happy expression after the first month. I finally realized what had happened. My wife wanted to make me jealous, but instead was now jealous of me having found happiness outside the sham of a marriage. Sleeping with other men didn't give her the validation she wanted. As a result, she was regretting opening our marriage. I calmly explained to her that what she had proposed was permanent and that we can't undo it. I told her I'm happy with Cecilia and that she should also find a new lover. And if she can't do that, then we should get a divorce. I'll happily give her half my money if she did so, but I won't be entering back into a relationship with her. Our marriage was lost the day she decided to sleep with another man.